you're trying to turn a large piece on a 3-jaw chuck, the jaws might not come out far enough before they just fall out. So I'm going to show you how to use a different kind of jaws to grab larger pieces. If you want to do this, there's a whole different set of jaws. You got to take all these out. And if you got the Harbor Freight mini lathe, chances are it comes with these special jaws that are flippable. It's also very important that you put the jaws in the right order. As you can see here, the teeth are all a little bit different on each jaw. Of course, at first you got to take out the other jaws just by loosening the chuck until they should all just slide out. Make sure to keep them safe. You'll be using them again. And now we can install the new jaws. There are numbers inscribed here. This looks like 1, 2, 3, but I think it's hard to read. I actually normally don't go by the numbers. I think an easier way to do it is to flip it around like this, so that the inside of the jaw, the part that would be facing the inside of the chuck, is downwards. See, they're all on the bottom. And then the number 1 jaw is the one with the lowest tooth. See, this has the bottom tooth lowest. And so we're going to take that and look at that. It's number 1. And then number 2 is going to be the second lowest. So that looks like number 2. Yep, it says number 2. And this one's number 3 because it has the highest of these teeth. And the reason why number 1 has the lowest tooth is because it goes in first and it catches first. So that gets inserted first. So the slots here also have numbers. It's, again, hard to read on this one, but this is a number 1, and so it fits the number 1 jaw here. Now, if you were to offset it and put it into, I think this is probably the number 3 jaw slot, it'll actually work just the same. It will look the same. It's normally better, though, if you can, to put it in the right slot, just because it's kind of used to being in that slot. It wears, it rubs off kind of in this spot. And if you want to get just a little bit of an edge on your precision, it's a good habit to get into. Although if you can't determine which is which, it will perform almost exactly the same. If you've never seen what's behind the jaws of a 3-jaw chuck, when you turn the chuck key, you can see this sort of gear thing spinning. And as I turn it right there, you see a new tooth introduced. And so I want to come before the new tooth. I put it down, it can still come out. But if I just turn it a little bit, now the new tooth is grabbing onto that bottom jaw, and it's locked in there. And if we spin around to the next one, so whenever we tighten, we see that it's spinning this way. So this is going to be the next slot that the new tooth right there is going to come into. And so that's where we take our number 2 jaw with the second lowest first tooth. Make sure you wind backwards so that you can't see the new tooth. And then put it in, go a little bit. It should lock right in place. And then here's our last one. We can bring it all the way until, there we go. There's the beginning of that tooth. Go back a little, push it in, and lock it in place. Now it can't move. They're all there, and a good way to check that you did it correctly is to go ahead and close it all the way, and they should meet, all the jaws should meet in the middle. And there we go. If you did something wrong, you'll see one of these will be farther back. They won't all meet in the same place. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to put them in the wrong order and show you them not lining up in the center. And there, it tightened. I can't move it anymore. And you see there's a gap right here. This jaw won't tighten the rest of the way. And that's how you know that you probably put them in the wrong order. They should not have a gap. If you don't have the jaws all the way closed, which chances are, if you're using these jaws, it's probably because you need them to be way out here. You might not even notice. They don't look that far off, especially all the way out here. You wouldn't be able to tell that they're not in a perfect circle. But when you clamp on something and you turn it on, you'll definitely see the wobble. But I always like to just tighten it down to the center, make sure that they all meet at the same point, and make sure that I got it. Here's an example of why sometimes the numbers are hard to go off of, because this says 3, 3, 2, 3, 2. So is it 3 or is it 2? It's confusing. This is actually a 2, but this is probably a number to identify like which truck it goes to or something. Maybe a serial number. I'm not sure, but with all the numbers around here, I find it difficult to know which one. So that's why I like to go off of the orientation of the tooth. I also want to point out that if you try to put these jaws in like regular 3-jaw chuck jaws, it'll jam it right there. That new tooth can't engage, and you'll notice that these teeth, they're curved up like a smiley face, and this tooth is curving down like this, so it can't engage. And that's the difference between these two different types of jaws, is that one of them has the upward and one of them has the downward, and that's why when the teeth are facing the same direction, you see that's why you need them to have the different orientation. This is a 4-jaw independent chuck. It did not come with the machine. It also didn't fit the machine. This is a custom adapter plate, but I want to show you right here. There's a big difference. You can notice these like teeth right here. They're not really slanted, or they're not like smiley face or frowny face. They're diagonal, and these actually are reversible. So you don't need special jaws to flip it around. So if I go ahead and take this out, I can use the same exact jaw in reverse, like this now. And it should go right in like that. And the difference is there's 4 independent screws going on here. You don't have a circular, like a sort of revolving screw that connects to all of them. They're independent, and so it allows the jaws to have a diagonal instead of a smile or a frown. And so you don't need special jaws to flip them around. You could have any orientation like that. And this is the part that I was trying to clamp with the other jaws, and it goes right in there nicely. It's tight, and these jaws are nowhere near out of travel. Also, you'll notice there's 2 different steps. You know, some jaws might have 3 or more, but you kind of have an option if you want to put it on that smaller step, or maybe this one. I might run out of travel in this direction before I get to that, but sometimes you do have a choice. Let's see, it's going to be close. Oh, there we go. It just barely clamps on this before running out of travel here. So in this case, I have options, and I think I'd rather turn it like this, because if I did it on the other step, now I've got my jaws way out here. And the farther out they are, I think the more likely they are to, I don't know, maybe I accidentally hit them with my tool or something. So I prefer to turn it on the smallest step that I can. But yeah, I can grab huge parts now with this little chuck, just with these different jaws. So jaws on these little lathe chucks are pretty fascinating. I think there's a lot of cool things you can do on the lathe, and I hope you have a better understanding now of how to use them to make anything you need to.